The massive screen in Earth's Global Defense Center lit up with an unfamiliar signal. Admiral James Walker stood straight, his weathered face reflecting the blue glow of the incoming transmission. After decades of searching the stars for alien life, they were about to have their first contact. But this wasn't how anyone had imagined it would happen. The alien that appeared on screen looked almost human, except for the metallic sheen of its skin and eyes that glowed like distant stars. It spoke in perfect English, which was the first red flag. "People of Earth, I am Grand Marshal Richards of the Galactic Empire. We have been watching your civilization's progress for some time. Your planet has been chosen for integration into our grand empire. Rejoice, for you will now be part of the greatest civilization in the known galaxy." Admiral Walker's fingers tightened around the command console. 20 years in Earth's defense force had taught him to spot a threat wrapped in pretty words. "Grand Marshal," he said, keeping his voice steady, "Earth thanks you for your interest, but we would prefer to discuss terms of peaceful cooperation rather than integration." The alien's smile didn't reach its eyes. "Your preference has been noted but is irrelevant. Preparation for integration will begin immediately. Resistance would be unfortunate." After the transmission ended, Walker called an emergency meeting of Earth's Unified Council. Representatives from every nation gathered in the underground chamber beneath Geneva. The room buzzed with worried whispers and angry outbursts. "They're already here," Director Thomas Reed announced, walking into the chamber. The intelligence chief's normally calm face showed signs of stress. He tapped his tablet, and holographic images appeared above the council table. They showed strange ships hiding in the dark side of the moon. They weren't making first contact. They were delivering an ultimatum. Dr. Helen Ross, Earth's leading physicist, spoke up next. "We've intercepted and decoded some of their transmissions. The Empire," she paused, her face pale. "They don't integrate planets. They drain them. Every world they've welcomed into their empire has been stripped of resources. The populations are either enslaved or displaced." The council chamber erupted in shouting. Admiral Walker waited for the noise to die down before speaking. "We have an advantage they don't expect. They think we're primitive because we haven't spread beyond our solar system. But we've been building our defenses for decades, preparing for any threat." "Can we fight an empire that spans the galaxy?" someone asked. Walker shook his head. "We don't need to fight them. We just need to make them leave us alone." He nodded to Dr. Ross. "Show them." Dr. Ross's hologram changed to show Earth's secret weapon, a massive network of satellites and energy stations positioned throughout the solar system. "Project Soul Barrier," she explained. "We designed it to protect us from solar flares and asteroids. With some modifications, it could become the strongest defensive shield humanity has ever built. And if we combine it with our new quantum detection grid," Director Reed added, "we could spot any Imperial ship that enters our solar system. No more hiding behind the moon." Admiral Walker looked around the room. "I propose something unprecedented. Instead of accepting their integration or fighting a war we might not win, we do something they've never faced before." He paused, making eye contact with each council member. "We ban them. We declare our entire solar system off limits to their empire. We build a wall they can't break through and tell them Earth is closed to Imperial business." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Centuries of dreaming about reaching the stars, and now they were talking about isolating themselves from the galaxy. "They won't accept that," someone said. "No," Walker agreed. "They won't, which is exactly why we need to do it. Because for the first time in their history, the Galactic Empire will face something new, a primitive world that isn't afraid of them." The vote was unanimous. Within hours, Earth sent its response to the Empire. "To the Galactic Empire, your integration proposal is rejected. The Sol system is hereby declared a sovereign zone, closed to all Imperial vessels and personnel. This is not a negotiation. Earth is forbidden to you. Any attempt to violate this ban will be met with the full force of our defense systems, We trust this message is clear enough, even for an empire. The warning had been delivered. Now they had to prepare for the Empire's response. Dr. Helen Ross hadn't slept in 3 days. The Soul Barrier control room buzzed with activity as engineers and scientists worked around the clock. On the main screen, thousands of satellites moved into their new positions around the solar system, forming an invisible web of protection. Coffee. Admiral Walker appeared beside her desk, holding 2 steaming cups. "Thanks," she said, taking one without looking away from her calculations. "We're about to try something that's never been done before. Either we'll create the biggest shield in human history, or we'll waste the world's resources on a giant space mirror." Walker smiled. "If anyone can make this work, it's you." The room fell quiet as Dr. Ross stood up and walked to the main console. Her fingers moved quickly across the controls, making final adjustments. "Beginning shield test 1, she announced. "All stations, report ready status." Green lights lit up across the board. In space, the first ring of satellites hummed to life. Energy beams connected them, forming a glowing web that stretched between Earth and Mars. The room held its breath. "Power level stable," someone called out. "Grid connection holding at 98% efficiency." Dr. Ross allowed herself a small smile. Initiating second ring. More satellites activated, their energy beams extending the shield further into space. The display showed the shield's coverage growing, spreading out like a soap bubble around the solar system. Warning alarms suddenly blared. "Power surge in Section 7. An engineer shouted. "The grid is breaking up." "No, it's not," Dr. Ross said calmly. Her fingers flew across the controls. "The energy isn't breaking up, it's adapting. Look." On the screen, the power surge spread through the shield like a wave. But instead of destroying the connections, it strengthened them. The energy grid shifted, forming new patterns that glowed with a deep blue light. "It's learning," Walker said in amazement. "The shield is teaching itself how to be stronger." Dr. Ross nodded excitedly. "The quantum AI we built into the system. It's doing exactly what we hoped. It's finding better ways to maintain the shield than anything we could program." The test continued for hours. They fired test rockets at the shield, which stopped them easily. They tried sending signals through it. The shield let approved communications pass while blocking anything suspicious. It was working better than anyone had dared to hope. Director Reed rushed into the control room just as they were finishing the final tests. "We've got incoming," he announced. 3 Imperial ships just appeared at the edge of the solar system. "They're saying they're here for peaceful negotiations." "Sure they are," Walker said. "How many weapons can we detect on those ships?" Reed checked his tablet. "Enough to destroy a small planet. Our old sensors wouldn't have spotted half of them. But with the new shield's detection grid," he smiled grimly, "we can see everything they're trying to hide." Dr. Ross straightened up. "Well then, let's show them how Earth handles uninvited guests." The Imperial ships approached slowly, probably expecting to find Earth helpless and ready to surrender. Instead, they hit the shield. The massive ships stopped like they'd hit a wall. Their engines flared as they tried to push through, but the shield held firm. The room cheered as the Imperial ship's energy weapons bounced harmlessly off the barrier. "Incoming transmission," an operator announced. The Imperial commander appeared on screen, his metallic face twisted with anger. "What is the meaning of this? Lower your defensive screen immediately." Admiral Walker stepped forward. "I believe our previous message was clear. Earth is forbidden to you. This shield is simply our way of making sure you understand that." "This is impossible," the commander sputtered. "Your civilization is too primitive to have this technology." "Perhaps," Walker said with a slight smile, "you should update your information about Earth. Now, please remove your ships from our solar system. Otherwise, we'll be happy to demonstrate some other primitive technology we've developed." The Imperial ships retreated, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. The Empire would be back, and next time they wouldn't come pretending to be peaceful. But now Earth had its shield. Let them come. They would learn why you don't threaten a planet that has spent its entire history preparing for threats from the stars. The Empire's peaceful exploration fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system exactly 1 month after their first failed attempt. Admiral Walker watched from the command center as 30 ships emerged from light speed, their golden hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. They're not even trying to hide their weapons this time, Director Reed said, studying the sensor readings. 25 warships disguised as science vessels, and 5 actual exploration ships for show. Walker nodded. At least they're getting more honest about their intentions. Dr. Ross, how's the shield holding? Perfect, she replied from her station. The quantum eye has made it 3 times stronger since last month. It's like it knows we're about to need the extra power. The main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. The same Imperial commander from before appeared, but this time he wore an obviously fake friendly smile. Earth Command, we come seeking scientific exchange, he announced. Our exploration fleet wishes to study your fascinating shield technology. We promise no hostile intent. Walker stepped forward. Your exploration fleet is carrying enough firepower to glass a continent. Request denied. Leave our solar system immediately. The commander's friendly mask slipped. You dare to accuse us of deception? We are the Galactic Empire. We do not need to deceive primitive worlds. He leaned forward. Lower your shield, or we will lower it for you. I was hoping you'd say that. Walker smiled. Because now we have proof that you threatened us first. All defense stations. Execute pattern Delta. The shield shimmered, its normal blue glow turning slightly purple. The Imperial ships suddenly found themselves trapped inside bubbles of energy, unable to move forward or back. What is this? The commander demanded. Release our ships at once. Why? Walker asked calmly. You wanted to study our shield technology. Now you can do it up close. The Imperial ships fired their weapons. Massive energy beams struck the shield bubbles, but instead of breaking through, the energy was absorbed and redirected. Each bubble began to shrink, slowly crushing the ships inside. Last chance, Walker announced. Power down your weapons and leave, or find out exactly how primitive Earth's defense technology really is. 5 ships, the real exploration vessels, immediately shut down their weapons. The shield released them, and they fled at top speed. The other 25 ships kept firing. They're so used to being the strongest that they don't know how to back down, Dr. Ross observed, watching the Imperial ships waste their energy against the shield. Their loss, Director Reed said. Should we show them our other surprise? Walker nodded. Dr. Ross, initiate the mirror protocol. The shield bubbles suddenly turned reflective. Every energy blast the Imperial ships fired bounced back at them. Their own weapons began tearing through their supposedly impenetrable armor. Impossible, the Imperial commander shouted. Our shields are the strongest in the galaxy. How are you doing this? Simple, Dr. Ross replied. We studied the debris from your ship's last visit. Your shield technology is based on deflection. Ours works by absorption and redirection. You literally can't break through because you're fighting against your own energy. One by one, the Imperial ships went dark as their systems overloaded. None were destroyed. Earth made sure of that. They wanted survivors to carry the message back. Release the disabled ships, Walker ordered. Let them drift until their backup power comes online. And send this message to Imperial Command. This was a warning. Next time, we won't be so gentle. They watched as the crippled Imperial fleet slowly limped away. Earth had just won its first real battle against the Empire, without firing a single shot of its own. They'll be back, Director Reed said. And next time, they'll bring their real warships. Good, Walker replied. Because next time, we'll have more than just the shield waiting for them. The Empire needs to learn that Earth doesn't just say no. We enforce it. Dr. Ross smiled as she checked the shield's readings. The quantum AI was already incorporating data from the battle, making the barrier even stronger. "Let them come," she said. "Earth's got more surprises waiting." Director Thomas Reed stared at the message on his screen with growing concern. His intelligence team had intercepted it just minutes ago. "Packages delivered. Operation Trojan begins now." He immediately called Admiral Walker and Dr. Ross to his office in the underground levels of Earth Defense Command. As they sat down, he played a security recording from New York City. It showed perfectly normal-looking humans going about their day. "Watch the woman in the red coat," Reed said, pointing to the screen. As they watched, the woman passed through a metal detector. For a split second, her image flickered, revealing a metallic skeleton underneath. "They're already here," Dr. Ross whispered. "But how?" "The shield. The shield stops ships, not people," Walker said grimly. "They must have dropped their agents off before we activated it." "How many, Tom?" Reed pulled up more images. "We've confirmed at least 50 Imperial infiltrators in major cities. They look human, act human, and even fool most of our scanners. But here's the worst part." He switched to another video, this one from a secret camera in a coffee shop. It showed a real human passing a data chip to one of the infiltrators. "We have traitors," Walker said, his voice hard. "Humans working with the Empire." Dr. Ross leaned forward. "Why would anyone help them? After what they tried to do to Earth? Money, power, promises of advanced technology." Reed shrugged. "The Empire's been doing this for thousands of years. They know how to tempt people." Walker stood up and began pacing. "We need to find them all. Fast. Before they can." The building shook as alarms began blaring. Red emergency lights flashed as Reed's computer displayed multiple alerts. "They're attacking the shield generators," Reed shouted. 3 stations hit already. "Emergency protocols. Now," Walker ordered, rushing to the command center with the others close behind. The main screen showed chaos. Explosions rocked shield stations around the world. But something wasn't right. "Wait," Dr. Ross said, studying the damage reports. "The attacks. They're not actually hitting anything critical. The shield is holding." Reed's fingers flew across his keyboard. "She's right. They're causing lots of noise and fear, but minimal real damage. This isn't their real plan." "Then what is?" Walker asked. The junior analyst rushed in. "Sir, we've detected unusual signals coming from Antarctica. Something's broadcasting to Imperial frequencies." Reed's eyes widened. "That's it. The attacks are a distraction. Their real goal is to map the shield's weak points. The infiltrators are gathering data for a full-scale invasion." Walker smiled suddenly. Everyone looked at him in surprise. "Sir," Reed asked, "this is bad news." "No, it's perfect," Walker said, "because now we can feed them exactly what we want them to know." He turned to Dr. Ross. "Can you make the shield look weaker than it is? Give them false readings." Her eyes lit up with understanding. "Better than that. I can make them think they found a fatal flaw in the system, one that doesn't actually exist." "Do it," Walker ordered. "Tom, I want your best people tracking every infiltrator. Don't arrest them. Just watch. Let them think they're succeeding." Over the next week, Earth's defenders played a careful game. They let the Imperial agents discover a fake weakness in the shield. They allowed them to send encrypted messages back to their fleet. And all the while, they were learning how the infiltrators operated. Finally, Reed called another meeting. "We've identified every Imperial agent and their human contacts. More importantly, we know their next move. They're planning to sabotage the shield during the Empire's next attack." "Perfect," Walker said. "Time to spring the trap." He looked at his colleagues. "Send a message to all Earth defense stations and make sure our Imperial friends intercept it." The message was simple. "Shield maintenance scheduled for next Tuesday. Expect temporary gaps in coverage." Dr. Ross grinned. The Empire won't be able to resist such an obvious opportunity. And when they come charging in, Reed added, they'll learn that Earth doesn't just fight with technology. Walker finished. We win because we think ahead. He looked out the window at the sky, where the invisible shield protected their world. Let them come try their infiltration games. Earth is ready. The Empire arrived with 1,000 ships. They filled the space beyond Neptune like angry metal wasps, their golden hulls darkened for battle. At their center, an enormous vessel stretched 20 kilometers from end to end, the Imperial command ship. Right on schedule, Admiral Walker said, watching from Earth Defense Command. Status report. All shield stations showing fake vulnerability warnings, Dr. Ross replied. Our infiltrated systems are broadcasting the maintenance schedule exactly as planned. Director Reed checked his screens. Imperial agents are in position at their assigned targets. They think they're about to cripple our defenses. He smiled slightly. They have no idea they've been under our control for weeks. The giant screen lit up. Grand Marshal Richards himself appeared, his metallic face twisted in a triumphant smile. This is your final chance, Earth. Surrender now, or face annihilation. Walker stepped forward. We're currently running shield maintenance. Could you call back next week? The Grand Marshal's smile widened. Oh, we know all about your maintenance schedule and your shield's weaknesses. Did you think your pathetic world could keep secrets from the Empire? Not at all, Walker replied calmly. In fact, we're counting on your excellent intelligence gathering. Before Richards could respond, Walker gave the signal. Around the world, Earth's security teams moved in. Within minutes, every Imperial infiltrator and human collaborator was arrested. None of them managed to trigger their planned sabotage. On screen, the Grand Marshal's smile vanished as reports of the arrests reached him. What is this? This, Walker said, is Earth showing you how we handle sieges. Dr. Ross. Dr. Ross pressed a button. The shield, which had appeared to be weakening, suddenly blazed to full power. But this time, it didn't stop at the solar system's edge. It began contracting, moving inward like a closing fist. Impossible, Richards shouted. All ships, open fire, full power. 1,000 Imperial ships fired at once. The shield absorbed their combined firepower and grew stronger. The Quantum Eye had been waiting for this moment, learning from every attack. They're trying to retreat, Reed reported, but the shields got them boxed in. The Empire's mighty fleet found itself trapped in an ever-shrinking bubble of space. Their most powerful weapons couldn't break through. Their fastest ships couldn't escape. Now, Walker said quietly, let's show them what Earth's primitive technology can really do. Dr. Ross activated the shield's new features. Concentrated energy beams lanced out from the barrier, targeting the Imperial ship's engines. One by one, the mighty warships went dark, drifting helplessly in space. Their weapons are offline, Reed announced. Life support is still running, but they're completely disabled. The Grand Marshal's face had lost its metallic sheen, turning almost gray with fear. This cannot be happening. We are the Empire. We cannot be defeated by a single primitive world. That's where you're wrong, Walker replied. We're not primitive. We're human. We spent thousands of years preparing for threats from space. While you were busy conquering peaceful worlds, we were building weapons to fight gods. He leaned forward. Earth isn't just some planet you can add to your collection. We're the planet that said no and made it stick. The shield continued its work until only the command ship still had power. The rest of the mighty Imperial fleet floated helplessly, 1,000 dead metal hulls that would serve as a warning to any who thought to threaten Earth. Listen carefully, Walker told the Grand Marshal. We're going to let you take your ships and leave. Most of them can be reactivated once they're past Pluto. But first, you're going to send a message to every world in your empire. What message? Richards asked weakly. Walker's voice was steel. Tell them that Earth doesn't bow. Tell them that we banned the Empire from our space. And we enforce that ban. Let everyone know what happened when the mighty Empire tried to break our rules. The shield parted, opening a narrow path for retreat. The Empire's greatest fleet limped away in defeat, leaving behind a changed galaxy. For the first time in 10,000 years, someone had stood up to the Empire. And won. News of Earth's victory spread through the galaxy like wildfire. On thousands of worlds, people watched leaked footage of the Empire's mighty fleet fleeing from a primitive planet. Hope, long forgotten under Imperial rule, began to stir again. Director Reed walked into the command center carrying a stack of data tablets. "The messages keep coming," he said. "Every hour, we get new requests for help from worlds under Imperial control." Admiral Walker studied the giant screen showing a map of the Empire. Red dots marked worlds in open rebellion. There were hundreds of them now. "The Empire's trying to keep control," Reed continued, "but they're stretched too thin. When they send ships to crush one rebellion, 3 more systems rise up." Dr. Ross looked up from her workstation. "And our gift to them is making it worse for the Empire." She meant the shield plans, not the full technology. Earth wasn't ready to share that, but enough basic principles for other worlds to build simple defensive systems. The plans had spread across the galaxy, copied and shared between resistance groups. "Imperial ships attacked 3 more worlds yesterday," Reed reported. "But when they got there, they found shields waiting for them. Not as strong as ours, but strong enough to make the Empire think twice." The screen lit up with an incoming transmission. The face that appeared belonged to Captain Jane Miller, Earth's new ambassador to the resistance movements. "Admiral," she said, her image flickering from somewhere across the galaxy. "You need to see this." She sent a video file. The footage showed an Imperial warship approaching a small agricultural world. But instead of finding helpless victims, they found a shield like Earth's protecting the planet. The ship fired a few shots, then retreated. "That's the 5th time this week," Miller said. "The Empire's getting scared. They never know which world might have a shield now. Their whole strategy relied on being the strongest, but that's not working anymore." Walker smiled. "How are the other resistance groups doing?" "Growing stronger every day. The mining colonies in the Outer Rim have all declared independence. The Empire can't get near them. They've built shields right into their asteroid bases. The trading worlds in the mid-sectors are refusing to supply Imperial ships. And the core worlds," she grinned. "Well, see for yourself." She sent another video. This one showed massive protests in the Empire's capital system. Millions of beings from hundreds of species filled the streets, all shouting the same words in different languages. "Freedom like Earth." "We never wanted to start a revolution," Walker said quietly. "We just wanted to be left alone." "Sometimes showing people they can say no is all it takes," Reed replied. "The Empire ruled through fear. Once people stopped being afraid." Dr. Ross interrupted them. "Emergency signal from the Centauri sector. Imperial forces attacking the shield world." They watched as a dozen Imperial ships approached a planet protected by one of the basic shields Earth has shared. The shield was holding, but it wouldn't last long against that much firepower. "They're trying to make an example," Reed said. "Show everyone what happens when you resist." Walker straightened up. "Not today." He turned to Dr. Ross. "How fast can we get there?" She blinked in surprise. "Get there? Our ships have never gone beyond the shield. Time to change that. Earth can't hide forever. If we inspired these people to fight, we owe them more than just shield plans." Within an hour, Earth's first deep space rescue mission launched. The ship, named Hope, carried improved shield technology and a message. Earth wasn't just saying no to the Empire anymore. They were saying yes to freedom. As the ship disappeared into faster-than-light travel, Walker looked at the galaxy map again. The red dots of rebellion were spreading, connecting, forming the new pattern across the stars. "The Empire thought banning them from Earth was our final move," he said. "They were wrong. It was just the beginning." 1 year after Earth's first rescue mission, The galaxy had changed beyond recognition. Admiral Walker stood at the window of the new Earth Embassy on Unity Station, watching ships from 100 different worlds pass by. The massive space station, built at the edge of Earth's solar system, served as neutral ground where free worlds could meet. Latest report from the core worlds, Director Reed said, walking in with his ever-present data tablet. The Imperial Palace is empty. The Grand Marshal and his inner circle fled to unknown space 3 days ago. Running away from their own people, Walker nodded. Any word from Ambassador Miller? She's on her way here now. The Free Worlds Alliance vote was unanimous. The door opened and Dr. Ross entered, followed by Miller and representatives from dozens of formerly Imperial worlds. Some looked human, others were completely alien, but all shared the same expression of hope. The alliance is official, Miller announced. 317 worlds have signed the charter. Another 100 are expected to join by the end of the month. She smiled at Walker. They want Earth to lead the council. Walker shook his head. Earth doesn't want to lead. That's not why we fought. We know, said one of the alien representatives, his crystalline body glowing softly. That's exactly why we trust you. You didn't fight to conquer. You fought to be left alone. But then you helped others do the same. Dr. Ross stepped forward. We finished analyzing the Imperial technology from their abandoned ships. Combined with our shield designs, we can offer every Alliance world full protection within a year. And the Empire? Another representative asked. They still control nearly 1,000 worlds. Not for long, Reed replied. He brought up a holographic map showing Imperial space shrinking day by day. Their own citizens are overthrowing them. Without their fleet and their fear, they're discovering that their power was always an illusion. Walker turned from the window. Earth will help the Alliance, but as equals, not leaders. We've seen what happens when one world tries to rule others. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent message. The main screen showed an Imperial diplomatic vessel approaching Unity Station. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, Reed reported. They say they want to surrender. The room fell silent. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. Put them through, Walker ordered. The screen showed a tired-looking Imperial official, his metallic skin dulled with stress. On behalf of what remains of the Galactic Empire, I am authorized to offer our complete and unconditional surrender to Earth and its allies. Walker looked around the room, meeting the eyes of humans and aliens alike. They had all suffered under the Empire. Now they would decide its fate together. Your surrender is accepted, Walker said, but not to Earth. You'll surrender to the Free Worlds Alliance. Every world you dominated will have a say in what happens next. The official bowed his head. We understand. And we request one more thing. He paused. Several Imperial worlds wish to apply for Alliance membership. They want to learn Earth's way, how to be strong without dominating others. Miller stepped forward. All worlds are welcome in the Alliance, even former Imperial ones. That's the difference between us and the Empire. We offer freedom, not submission. Later, as the representatives celebrated the Empire's surrender, Walker found himself back at the window. Earth's shield was visible from here, a faint blue glow protecting humanity's home. But it no longer cut them off from the galaxy. Now it stood as a symbol, a reminder that even the smallest world could say no to tyranny. Thinking deep thoughts, Dr. Ross asked, joining him. Remembering how this all started, he replied. We just wanted to ban the Empire from Earth. Instead, we helped free the galaxy. That's humanity for you, she smiled. We build walls to keep threats out, then end up building bridges instead. Outside, ships from across the galaxy continued to arrive at Unity Station. Each one carried people who had learned from Earth's example. The age of empires was over. The age of freedom had begun. And it all started because one primitive planet dared to say, "Entry forbidden."